There we are. That's a nice Tampa Bay trout right there. These little holes. Oh my gosh, the bird just got my trout. No way. Hey, this is Luke with Solid Strong Out with Insider Club member Tony Prescott, and we're out here on a calm morning and we're looking for black drum. This is in Tampa Bay. A lot of times some black drum schools come in this early spring, and so we're out here on the hunt. We're basically, there's a big flat out here and we're looking for any sort of signs of tails coming up, any sort of pushes, and we have some power prawns as well as some live shrimp, so that we can hopefully see if live bait will outfish artificial or the other way around. Who knows? We'll get after it. We're on the hunt. We got a big flat to cover, and so I'll keep you posted once we get on to some action. All right, we'll put the troll motor down. We'll head that way. That looks promising. So our strategy here was to get on this shallow grass flat and just slowly move around and just keeping the eyes peeled for any signs of life. And these black drum in particular, when they're up on these shallows and they're happy, their tails will come up or they'll start pushing some water. And so we were just doing some blind casting with the power prawns as we were looking around. Got into some ladyfish, which was fun. Then we got onto some trout, and it turned out we just had a lot of action. It was a lot of fun. The only bad thing is that they were all small, but then we made one small change, and that's where the bigger trout were holding. Whoa, is that you?
Yeah.
Dude,
that was a good fish.
Yeah, there's no way that was a ladyfish. But that was a giant trout. This is like a perfect place for them. All right, so we're starting to figure this area out. Ladyfish and dink trout in 3 feet of water or more, and then the big trout up here shallow. So we kept pushing up this flat, and eventually there was this oyster bar that was really only 6 to 8 inches of depth, but it got down to about 1.5 feet, and those fish were holding right on the edge. And this is where we finally started to get into some bigger trout right after this one. Dang, another one. This one's bigger. Drag pulling trout here. Yeah, it was basically casted out, and there's a little ridge right here. You can see that current going over it, and it was right on the edge. There we are. That's a nice Tampa Bay trout right there. Got him. There we are. Another pretty good trout. Well, this is cool. Good to see the trout coming back. All right, saw a little trout.
We're in there now.
Yeah.
A better one.
There's a good little head shake. There's a nice little head shake.
Yeah.
This guy's little camera shot here. This is a thick one.
This is a nice fat trout here too.
Tony's got a nice one too. Sweet. All right, well, these trout are digging the power prawn. That is a healthy trout there. That's probably 18-incher. Let it go. All right, Tony.
Yeah.
Solid one as well.
Yeah.
Sweet. Got ourselves a fun trout bite today. All right, that trout combined with all those ladyfish earlier wrecked my lure, so putting a new one on, a little Dr. Juice on there. We're ready to rock. Golly, there's a better fish. Ooh,
Feels better?
This one feels better. Oh, quick release.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Oh, I want to see you.
Yeah, that was close to 20 inches there.
So we kept shifting around this flat, still looking for those big black drum, and I just got into different pockets of trout. And here's a crazy instance in which an osprey actually tried to steal the trout from my line. Keep your eyes peeled in the top left corner.
Oh yeah, this is a great looking spot here. I'm starting to see the white spots. These little holes. Oh my gosh, the bird just got my trout.
Oh, that's a
No way. Osprey just got my trout. Let go of it. Come on. That's insane.
Oh no.
Oh. No, he's off me now. Golly, that's crazy. Look at that bird did to my trout.
Video?
Yeah, that was all on video. Is he clear of your line?
Clear.
All right. That crazy bird.
So here's some slow-mo of that footage. Yeah, just crazy that that bird came so close to us, but it basically dropped the trout and then got tangled in Tony's line. Fortunately, it untangled itself pretty quickly. But yeah, here it is. You can see the feet go down right in front of its eyes and grab that trout, and then pretty quickly, come out of the water with it. It was really cool to see that so close up, and again, fortunately, it dropped the trout and then quickly got untangled from Tony's line.
So shortly after that bird incident, we had to go back in. It was just a quick morning trip. We had just a little over 2 hours to fish. And the bad news is that we didn't see a single black drum. That was our goal, is to get on some black drum. We actually did the same trip a couple years ago at the same spot at the same time. It got onto a giant school of black drum and had an absolute blast, and just couldn't recreate that instance. However, we still had a blast. We got into a lot of good action. And really it all happened simply because we just always kept a lure in the water. As we were moving around, we were just making some blind casts, and eventually we got onto a lot of good fish and found a little trend that was going on. And so I want to talk about just a big lesson learned. There was one big lesson that was different than what we've been talking about in the last few weeks, and then at the end I'll talk about the precise tackle used in case you're curious. So as far as the big lesson, it really involves lures. So generally in the spring we recommend bait fish imitation lures, right? Usually pretty small bait fish. That's really what's pushing in to most of the estuaries right now. However, it's still smart to have some shrimp imitation on hand, even some of the bigger ones. So this was actually our Power Prawn USA, and this is the bigger one where it's 4.3 inches. And they were dialed into this. We tried multiple lures this day, even some smaller ones. And for whatever reason, this bigger one, even with just a straight retrieve right over the seagrass, they were all over it. And again, even the smaller trout, there were some small ones involved, but we caught multiple trout in the keeper size status, and then some even pushed in that 20-inch status. Of course, we released them all because we just went through a pretty bad red tide. But the core lesson, though, is just really to have some shrimp lures on hand. Even though we talk about bait fish most of the time, it is always good to have some of everything so that on unique days where it's going to be a little bit different when they're dialing into one thing specifically, you at least have it on hand and you can make some quick changes as needed. So as for the overall equipment, I'll start with the lure since I have it in my hand. This is the Power Prawn USA. This is the big one, the original. It's the natural color, and it's rigged on a 4-aught Haas Helix hook with a 1/8 ounce weight. This is just a great setup for fishing the shallows. It has great action in the water. Also, it's weedless, so you can go right into the grass without getting snagged and kind of pop it out just like a scared shrimp, or even just do a basic swim like we were doing this trip and have some great results. So if you're in need of a good shrimp lure that can cover the shallows, this thing is awesome, and I'll put links down below for it. As far as the overall setup, as far as rod and reel, I'll start with the rod. This is the slot machine. This is one of the prototypes for it. It's a 7/6 rod, medium power, fast action, has tremendous feel. It is expensive, but for Insider Club members, you actually get $100 off this rod, so you can get an amazing rod at a very good price. As for the reel, I was using the Daiwa Legalis. This is actually an inexpensive reel. It just went up in price, but it's now it's really just $80. I think it's just a little bit under $80. The 2500 size reel with 10-pound braid. This is more than enough for fishing open flats like this. Even if we got onto some 40-inch black drum, this setup could certainly work. And then as far as leader line, I had just a 20-pound mono leader that goes to that shrimp lure that I described before. As for knots, I like the loop knot, the non-slip loop knot to the lure, and then an FG knot from my leader to the braid. So that's really it. That's the full report. Any questions at all, leave a comment down below. And if you have any gaps in the equipment, if you need any of this stuff, we have it all at fishstrong.com. I'll put links down below for each and every one of them. And as I mentioned earlier, right, members get huge savings on all these items, and most members actually more than pay for their membership simply by buying the equipment that they need. So thank you so much for your time and watching. We hope to see you again soon.